new idea, or that is a integrity constant. So what is mean by the integrity constant? So you can understand a validation concept. We need to fulfill the data. So whenever we need to check the condition, are we putting the wrong information or right information? So if database, or if any information, or we are any error we are getting from the database response side, so we have some constant, like an age can't be in alphabets, it should be in numerical way, or age can't be like 12.7. So okay, we can understand what is mean by the 12.7, because 12 years and 7 months, but 12.7 is not a feasible value for the putting the age value. So this is a point we need to keep in mind. So shall we move to the my next slide to elaborate the all idea? Yeah, shall we move?
Yes, sir. Please move ahead.
Okay, okay, I'm so moving to the Hmm. Okay, so we have the concept that is a relational integrity constant. So can anyone tell me what is mean by the relational integrity constant? So relational integrity constant in DBMS basically refers to a condition, as I told you yesterday, or as I told you a few minutes ago. So you can understand relational integrity constant means we are talking about the condition, and in which we need to check the its validation. Now, if you have remember the if statement in any programming, you are remembering. I hope so. You have remembers. What is the sense of using such thing? To check the condition. If the condition is true, then we will jump to the if block. Else, we need to go to the else part. So same thing we have over here, and in the database, we need to check the appropriate details. Like I'm putting your name like 7392. So what is this? All this is what, this is only the value. It could be recognized by an amount, it could be recognized by anything or an age, but it could not be your name like Harshit Gupta or any other Mayank Samadia. I'm remembering the few student names, so Mansi, just like, so I can say Mansi, your name could be the 73, so it is not a valid value. So such things, such constant are recognized by the relational integrity constant. So here we have the three different kind of the constants. So first one we have the domain constant, next we have the key constant, and next one we have the referential integrity constant. Please keep in mind here we are talking about the relational integrity constant, and last one we have the referential. Okay, and what is it mean by the referential integrity constant, key constant, and domain constants as well? I will tell you one by one. So this is the first point we have discussed also. This is important point yesterday, that is domain constant. In domain constant, what do you mean by the domain constant? Domain constant means in a domain, all the values of the set of the value must be followed by the same data type. It can't have the different data type. Like I'm putting the age. So age is what? Age is my domain, or it is a attribute of fields, and its value. I'm writing the information to set pattern for the mathematical notation you can understand. So age is my domain, and age is my the column name and attribute. So its domain or set of the values would be 12, 10, and 9. So it is a valid. But when I'm putting like this one 2, okay, if I'm putting like the at the rate, okay, I'm using any other things, all these are not the valid things. So this is what, this is the invalid point, and this constant will help you to understand what kind of data type we need to follow respect with the such column name or attribute. So this is known as the domain constraint. So this domain must have the valid value. So this is known as the domain constraint.
सर
And
तो एट्रीब्यूट डोमेन जो हमने पढ़ा था और ये डोमेन कॉन्स्टेंट दोनों सेम ही हुए। पिछले क्लास
हाँ,
में एट्रीब्यूट डोमेन पढ़ा था और ये डोमेन कॉन्स्टेंट सेम ही हुआ क्योंकि प्री डिफाइंड डोमेन ही हो सकता, कुछ और डाल नहीं सकते उसमें।
no, no. One thing I want to tell you in simple way, then you can understand. If you're looking for the age attribute, this is the age attribute. This is known as the age attribute field name column name. So this is age, okay. And domain is a set of the value which is represented by the such column name. Okay, so domain is nothing which is a set of the values, and if you're putting the set of the values in different data type, then it is not a valid thing. Like I'm just putting the all the thing like in a here. One row contain the 12 values, so the age is valid. 10 value 10 it is valid. 9 is a valid. So all these are the integer values. So this is a valid values. And if you're putting the alphabets like TWO, I want to put the age value in alphabet term or in a string pattern instead of the integer, then it is not a valid. So TW is not a valid. It should be 2. Okay, this is the point. And a special character other thing will not be applicable. So the things of the set of the value we have that should be followed by the same kind of information as you already said to me yesterday, just like a data type like integer and a character or string or boolean. So in a string value you try to put the character value, then you will get an error. So same thing we have over here. So the constant this provides such kind of information. So this is known as the domain constant. Domain means set of the value which belong to the respectively or such any kind of the column name or attribute. This is the my point. Just tell me any doubt.
No, sir.
Okay, so
No, sir.
oh, good. So in the real number we can represent information in form of the decimal like 12.9 and so on. So and this real number kind of the data will be applicable to the cost attribute, price attribute. Okay, this is
Salary.
yes, good, salary, good. So whenever need to represent your information which is consisted by or which is required to have the decimal value, so we can have the real number, of course. And the characters, we as we know boolean, we know of course there will be two value, true or false, variable length, string. Okay, and this variable length and string in MySQL we have the most famous derived that is a varchar. This varchar is what? This varchar is known as the variable length,
Length string.
variable length characters. Okay, good. This is a good point. So now shall we move to the another kind of the domain, another kind of
Yes, sir.
constant? Okay.
Yes.
So now we have the key constant. Key constant defined that is a we need to apply the key on any domain, any attribute name or column to distinguish that your your domain value or the set of the value which is recognized by the domain will be unique. Now you can see this active inactive, this is what, this is the domain of the column status. Okay, and now you can see we have the duplicate value active. So this is not a unique representation of the unique representation of the domain. So when a domain contains the unique values, and we can say how to identify all those things, and we can represent such thing by the key. So what is the key, and we will see what is by the key and how many types of the key we have. So one by one we will see, but before that let me know this is clear to all. What is this? This is the, again I'm speaking to all, this is the domain of the customer name, and this is the domain value of the customer id 123. And now you can see in the customer id we have the 123. So what are these are the values or domain of the customer id attribute, and each and every value contain the uniqueness. So 123, but in the Google, Amazon, Apple we have also, but in the customer
सर
name could also be any name. Yes, please tell me.
सर इसमें डोमेन एक्टिव एक्टिव इनएक्टिव थोड़ी ना, इसमें डोमेन तो कैरेक्टर हुआ.
Domain means a set of the values. So what are the set of the values?
ओके, आई थॉट डोमेन
Active.
मींस डेटा टाइप ऑफ वैल्यू.
No. Domains means a
ओके सर,
domain.
गॉट.
If you're putting the status, then you have to write either domain in form of the string that is active, inactive, non-active, just like. But I'm putting the domain like 123 or at the array or anything just like this one. Okay, so this kind of the information is a numerical kind of the information. This is a special kind of the information. Okay, and that is not feasible to the this attribute name. Why? Because this belongs to numerical value. This belongs to a special kind of information. But you are allowed to only put only into the string kind of the information. So this is the point. Domain means a set of the value which is consisted by or which is compromised or integrated by the one attribute name only. Okay, so please keep in mind. And what kind of status value we can have, that is represented by the some data type, and those are the boolean, integer, real number, character, and variable length string. So this is my point. Okay, so please remember each and every point. Yeah. Yesterday we have all discussed so many things. So here I was on the my point, that is in the customer id you can see customer ID is an attribute name, and its domains are having by the all the unique value. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 could be, but if I'm repeating such value 1 2 3, I'm repeating 1 2 or any values again and again. So this domain does not contain the set of the value will not be represented by the uniqueness. So if you want to represent such things, so that is what we have. We have a key. So like student name, so I'm making a record student roll number, student name, a date of birth, and so on, so detail. So student name could be common, like Harshit. So Harshit Gupta, there's surname Gupta and Harshit Gupta. So Harshit, Mayank, and other thing, other students like Shivam Bajpayee. So Bajpayee could be the common. Okay, the major few students belong to the same kind of the surname Bajpayee. Okay, we can't differentiate, no problem. But Shivam could be many students, so there may be some chance where the two Shivam Bajpayee or more than two Shivam Bajpayee students can have the first name and last name. But how to identify their uniqueness? So you have the enrollment number, and that enrollment number will be unique for your entire degree as well as the into the VIT Bhopal University. So in VIT Bhopal University, you are enrolled the 2019, 2020, and 2021 coming year. So definitely student name that with the first name last name will be the common or will be the same, but their roll number, their enrollment number will be unique, and which is represented by the year values. So 19, 20, and 21, and so on, so 18 and 70. So we have seen. So this is known as the key attribute. Why key attribute? Because this attribute contains the unique value.
Unique
Okay, this is
values.
unique values. So the key constant will be represented by the key attribute. But the question is comes in our mind. So what are the various keys, or what is it mean by the key? Let me clear to all once again. This key stands for, or key not stands for. This key is having own meaning, and this is the smallest unit to make a database. Okay, if you want to make a relation or if you want to make a database or table, then this is a point where you can represent we have the good database and how you can differentiate. That is a key. And now this key filter out your data redundancy. If you're having the data redundancy of putting the enrollment number again, so you will get a message that this number is already registered. Okay, so this is the point you need to keep in mind. Suppose I want to register another student, and the such roll number is already occupied by the another student who have taken the 2 months back. Then what happened? I can't register the same. I can give the same registration number to my another student, because this is already assigned to the another students who have taken already 2 months back. So this is a point we can understand. Now key constant is clear to all. Just tell me this is a point is clear to all.
Yes, sir. Clear.
Sir, the
Yes,
key
yes,
cost 2 3, right? The customer ID.
yes. Any doubts? Please ask me. I did not get your voice properly, so can you repeat your question?
Sir, so in this table, the key constants are the customer ID, right?
Yes,
One.
of course. Customer ID. As you can see, it is written over here. Customer ID is a key attribute. So because this attribute contains the key. Okay. Now is it clear to all?
Yes, sir. Clear. We can move.
Okay, I'm just moving to my next slide. A referential integrity constant. This okay. This key constant and other thing I will tell you through the practical way in the coming days. So in the next week we have a practical of the this key constant. So please keep in mind. Please attend the class at the time, or please be attentive on the regular in regular mode or regular way, or in the coming week as well. Now, next we have the referential integrity constant. A referential integrity constant in DBMS are based on the concept of foreign key. The question here we have what is mean by the foreign key and other things. So this is the very biggest challenge we have to face. What is mean by the foreign key and other key, and what is mean by the key, and what is the importance of the foreign key, primary key, super key, candidate key, okay, composite key. So we have the various kind of the pattern on which we need to understand the various kind of the key. Okay, so before jumping such example, it is better idea to explore more idea about the key. So let us understand the first. DBMS key definition, and then I will tell you more detail about the referential entity constant pulled by the foreign key. So two entities in the n entity set are allowed to have the exactly same name for the value of the attribute. That is also possible. So it is also possible the student name may be common in any student table, no problem. So uh, there's a common we can do. There's no issue because five students who belong to the Golu name. Okay, so Golu name is having by the four student. Okay, so I can put their first name Golu, but how identify their distinguish? So there is a roll number, their enrollment number can be represent such thing. So key is the most important part. So student ID will be the uniqueness, and in an organization, your employee ID will be your unique your key. Employee name could be the same like Ajay. We have the two employee who are having the same name, that is Ajay, and coincidentally they're also having the same last name or surname. But how to identify who Ajay is belong to the such department, who is belong to the other department? So it is a uh, parameter by which we can do, and that is the employee ID. Okay, so this is the point we have over here. And while journeying from one place to another place, what is the your key constraint, and that is your ticket number. So while booking the ticket, so we have the unique PNR. You have remembered while booking the ticket on the railway ticket, so we have the PNR. What is mean by the PNR? PNR stands for the passenger number record. So this PNR will be the unique for the entire period. So this will be the more specific movement we can say. So this would be, you have remember this one, this belong to the only the numeric part, and we can't put the PNL value into the string pattern. Okay, so we have to use only the number pattern, that is integer only. So PNL stands for the passenger number record while traveling journey from the train or by the train. And your passport number will be unique. Okay, you have the passport number, and we have the license number, we have the Aadhaar card number. So there are so many people who have belonged to the same name, same caste or same surname, and maybe that they belong to the same city and the same local area. But how to identify their uniqueness? So they have the own or unique value, that is the some number. So passport number, license number, Aadhaar card number, PNR number while booking the ticket, and each everything. Okay, so this is the key definition will be come from the this point where we need to distinguish your record in uniqueness. So here we have the some key, and those are known as the super key. So I'm putting only right now the limited key, and at the time to time I will discuss more key about the while we will do the practical way. Now, first we have the primary key. I'm starting from the primary key because this is the most important part, and we will implement the primary key in our database into the coming days. Okay, so primary key is the candidate key. So when the question comes in, what is mean by the candidate key? So we need to jump into the candidate key, because the student will try to understand any concept from the key, then they have only idea, sir. First we have the primary key. No, that is not the primary key. Okay, first we belong to the key that is known as the candidate key. So candidate key is what is it? That is one of the more of the set of the key or subset of the super key. Again, we have the question. Now we have the word that is super key. Then again, it's a basic key will be the super key. So everything will be started from the super key, and then candidate key, and then foreign key. So please do not go directly to on the primary key. Okay, before moving to any key, it is a better idea to first understand the super key, and then candidate key, and then primary key. So super key is what? Super key is a one of the more attribute of the entity. Please keep in mind the word super key is a one or more attributes of the entity which uniquely identify the record in the database. So whenever we can say we have the uniqueness in our record, so what we have? We have the super key. So this is a simple example. What is the candidate key? Candidate key is a one or the more of set of the key in the of the entities or subset of the super key. For example, person entities. In person entity, we have the social security numbers, its passport number, license number, etc. are the super key, because license number will be unique, passport number will be unique, and its social security number will be unique. So when we have the more than one key to represent entire information, then we have the candidate key. And next we have the primary key. So primary key will be a candidate key or kind of the candidate key, and which will be used to uniquely identify a record by the query. So in a large volume of the database, we have a key that can have the super key or candidate key, but to represent the uniqueness, what we have the primary key. I'm telling here with an example, then everything will be clear to all. Just let me switch to the simple concept. Just I'm taking the real example. Just I'm just moving to the real example, then you will understand. Then you will understand. Just give me 1 second. I'm adding in the one slide over here. Yes. Now, yes, I'm taking a very common thing. Then you understand. Okay, tell me which example I must take. I must take the student example. Then you can understand. And by the definition, and one by one, we will see student. So in a student database, what are the fields or attribute columns we have? We have the address. Okay, I'm writing in shortest way: address, city, and age of the student, and name. Suppose I have taken all these values. Yes, is it clear to all? All these fields are clear to all? Yes, please tell me. It is clear to all?
Yes, sir.
Okay, name I'm putting over here X name. Okay, anything just I'm putting for simplest purpose X is a name. The age of the first student I'm taking the 18, and city I'm taking simplest way. I'm taking simple city, that is BPL, that is Bhopal, and I'm putting the code only. And address, of course, their address would be any uh, X1. Okay, X1 is the address, no problem. Now, is it clear to all? So can we say we have one record and it is good way. Second record I'm making over here, that is a Y, and I'm also putting the some value, that is a 19. So we have the again another city, that is the IND. It stands for the Indore, and its address is Y2. Now next I'm putting the another name, that is a X. Name could be same kind, age is different like 20 undoubtedly, and the student also belong to the same city, that is BPL, and his address belong to the X2. Now can anyone tell me all records are unique?
No, sir.
Why?
Sir, because there is a reading that the same thing is occurring like city, Bhopal, Bhopal, and address, but there is a key attribute age which uniquely defines a record.
No, suppose X is the name of the student and his age is 18 and he belong to the Bhopal city and address is X. But for I'm just want to find the name of the student who belong to the X. Okay, so I will get the two record, that is X, this record and this record. Okay, so I will get the entire details, no problem. But there may be some case the student belong to the same data like X19 IND. Sorry, just let me correct this one. Belong to the Bhopals. Okay, so he belonged to the Bhopal city, and coincidentally, his address is same as the first record, that is X1. So how we can differentiate this record to first record? How we can differentiate? These two records are common in our database and our table. So how you can differentiate? This is my point. But before understanding the primary key or the things, let us understand the concept from the super key and candidate key. So super key is what? This is one or more attribute of the entity which uniquely identifies the record in the database. So without putting the primary key, without putting the uniqueness concept, we can say before inserting this X, before inserting this X, this is my record, this is my record, this is my record. Okay, so till this one and this one and this one, two, three, these three records are uniquely identified, we can say. So we can say all these records are the unique, and we can assume age is our is what is our column name, or
Key attribute.
this is a key attribute right now, and this key belong to the super key at the time. So we can say right now we have the super key. So we have the super key.
सर सुपर की में तो वन और मोर एट्रीब्यूट चाहिए होता है ना, ये तो सिंगल की एट्रीब्यूट है.
Okay, so one or more. So if you want to put the more, then you can put. So no problem. We can say where the combination of the A's and city, we are making our record in the uniqueness. So it's up to you. So there are the choice if you want to do. So you can have the super key, or if you want to have the other kind of the key, you can have. But right now we are looking for the super key. So we are putting the no problem. So when we have the limited data, so we can say this is a unique record, and at the time we have the super key, that is age. Now if you want to make the name as a key, then you can say x, y, x, we are repeating. So x, this is not uniqueness into the our not in uniqueness into the our database or domain. So with the age domain like 18, 90, 20, it contains the uniqueness, so we can make this attribute as a super key, so there is no issue. So at the time we are looking for the super key, so I'm putting this is a my age is a key attribute. Okay, but what happened as we are putting the lots of the information, it found that age is repeating. So now this attribute, or the set of the domain, set of the values of age attribute, or this domain does not contain the uniqueness. Then what happened at the time? Now what happened at the time? How to distinguish, then how to distinguish the record in the uniqueness? At the time the primary key introduced, but before that let me come to the candidate key. So candidate key will be the set of the more keys, and in this we need to distinguish each and everything into the different pattern. Like I am giving to hostel to the such student, like student belong to the H is a hostel. So this student belong to the 123 room number. This student also belong to the 123 student, and this extra student belong to the 456 number student. Now, so this in this hostel, while before putting anything, we can say this or repeating anything, we can say this hostel uh, domain, or this hostel attribute will be the uniqueness. Just suppose we have the 423, so we can say all the information which is contained by the this information. Right now we have the uniqueness, but at the time to time after putting all the detail, it is found that this x student will be go into the room number 423. So now uniqueness will be not available here. So before that applying the primary key, your one key or simple attribute, or simple or single attribute which contains, or more than one attribute which contains the uh, some values by which we can distinguish the record. Now through the key you can identify the student who has the age 18, and his hostel number is 123. Will you get the student name x, and here we have the age 20, and student hostel number is 456. So we will get the this x. So from these two parameter, by putting the candidate key or set of the candidate set of the key, we can apply, or we can find the record in unique way. So the age, the student who have the age 18, and his hostel number is 123. So we need to find the name of the student. So we got the this name, that is x. After putting the query again, it is found that same query I'm putting the, but I'm changing value, the student who has a age 20, and his hostel number is 456. So what happened at that time? We are getting the same x in our database as a user, getting the same value, and definitely this record is unique and this record is unique, but we are getting the same name value. So what happened at that time? So how you can distinguish, are we executing the corrective query, or are we going to the right direction? Maybe we are, definitely we are on the right track, but it seems that we are getting the previous record. So at the time user will get confused, or the any person who are looking for the good output, definitely he or she will get confused. So super key is what, it's basically simple key of the key attribute, but candidate key is candidate key may be the set of the super key. So here I'm just making the candidate key along with the A's and hostel. So here we have the candidate key. But at the time, if you're looking for this could be candidate key, but what happened at the time, you can make no problem. But this candidate key is at the time, this candidate key is known as the composite key because we are composed the two different key attributes. So at the time, this is known as a composite key. So this is the idea about the composite key right now, because we are using the two attributes. Those are the A's and other one is a hostel. Okay, so this is my point. So there was some problem. Suppose in the coming days we put it another record like 18 over here and 423, and by getting the data we want to do, the A should be 18 and hostel should be 432. So we will get this X. So again we have the question, we are getting each every time the X student name again, we are repeating all the details again. So now how to identify the uniqueness in the record? Because there is, in the coming days or after putting the 1,000 data, we will not have the uniqueness. Student name could be anything, student address could be anything, hostel number and hostel name could be the same. Now what happened at that time? So there is primary keys to be introduced. So primary keys define that each and every record we have, and that must have a key, and in that key, if you want to make a record in uniqueness, then you can do. But after putting the lots of the effort, it is found that we have the name student, that is a Y. A student is also belong to same age, that is 19. Another student also belong to the Indore city, there is no doubt, and his address also belong to the Y2 or X2. What do you want to do? This, suppose we have the X2, so X2, and we have also the same room, same hostel ID, so that is 423. So there is no uniqueness in this record and in this record. So how you can differentiate these two records? So here the primary key is to be introduced. Now we can say we can identify, we can distinguish these two records, no problem. But how to identify? So there is a identity is required for the entire database. At the time the primary key is required, so I can denote this key as a PK. This is known as the primary key. So primary key will be inspired from the candidate key, and there will be only the one primary key in a table. No multiple key can't have the primary key. Primary key will be contained by the only the single attribute. Okay, please keep in mind all these words. Remember, primary key will be contained by only the single attribute. No two attributes can't have the primary key simultaneously. If you're doing so, then you have to jump to the composite key instead of the primary key. So the key concept is necessary part. Super key means the basic simple key and which is applicable to all the, but duplicacy may be. So now you can see 1890 20 1890 is again repeating, so we have the duplicacy in the domain. Candidate key can also make by the two different key or two different set of the key, or of course followed by the two attributes. But what happened at the time, we can do for the limited period, but we have the large volume of data set at the time, the duplicacy may be applicable, and this is a drawback of the file system. That's why we are implementing the database. Duplicacy should not be applicable to any database. So at the time primary key is introduced. So here we have the definition, the primary key. So primary key will be the candidate key which will be used to uniquely identify a record. This is the point, uniquely identify a record. But previously in the super key and candidate key, this word was not, or this statement was not there. Uniquely identify a record by the query. So through the person can be identify the unique his SSN number, passport number, or license number. But one can choose any one of the them as a primary key or as a uniquely identified to the person, and rest of the them will act as a candidate key. So now please keep in mind, if I'm choosing A's as a primary key, so keep in mind all the values must be uniquely identified, but A's could not be. Can you say that a student can have multiple student can have the different A's? No, may more than two students can have the same age. So this age cannot be candidate key. This cannot be a primary key at that time. Hostel number I am allotted to the student, definitely can't be the primary key. But they are acting as a candidate key because through the those part we can identify the few information. So they are acting as a candidate key. But primary key is also defined that all the value into such domain must be uniquely. So each and every value must be uniquely. So from first record to the last record, first record to the last record, all the values of this domain, that is D, I'm putting domain, the of this domain must have the value 1 to n should be uniqueness. No duplicacy is allowed here. If you are doing so definitely your this attribute did not belong to the primary key. So this is a summary of the this key concept. And so far we have seen the primary key, super key, and candidate key. Now tell me any doubt you have?
No, sir.
Okay. So
सर
you
तो
are
पिछले वाले केस में प्राइमरी की किसको लेंगे, उसके लिए अलग एंट्री लानी पड़ेगी कोई पासपोर्ट नंबर करके,
किसमें
जो
इसमें?
वो नहीं वो XYZ वाला किया था.
No, no. Yes, this is a good question you have asked me. Then what is the thing in the database? What we need to do? We need to introduce an important part is student registration number. Okay, the student registration number will be the primary key because no student can't have the same registration number. Okay, if he or she belong to the same name, same age, same city, same address, or same hostel number, then definitely what the thing we have by which we can identify that is a his or sorry, her and or his or her roll number. So that we have over here in our record. If we are taking the attendance, it is found that two Aditya belong to the same name, and unfortunately or fortunately they belong to the same city. So how to identify whose Aditya is present or absent? So there's a better idea to I can see through the his enrollment number. So okay, he was present at the time, but another Aditya was not present. So this is the key attribute as a key attribute, and this and under this key attribute this is known as a primary key. That's why it is named it is named over here. There's a key and which will be the primary and by which we can distribute in a specific way. And other keys we are looking for the age hostel, so those belong to the those part belong to the candidate key. So this is the point.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so I'm just coming back to the my this example, and we were on the referential integrity constant. So what is mean by the foreign key? Again, we have the fourth kind of key. So we have seen the super key, candidate key, and the primary key. But now question comes in our mind: what is mean as a foreign key? So please keep in mind, I will tell you this concept through an example, then it will be clear to all. A foreign key is an important attribute of the relation which should be referred to as a relationship. A referential integrity constant state happens where relation refers to the key. Please keep in words refers to the key attribute of the different or the same relation. So however they that key elements must exist in the table. So referential as the name suggests it will take the reference from the other table. It will take the reference from the other table. But keep in mind we are taking the reference from the other table, then the column name must be same and column the domain data type value must be same. But in the referential key, in the foreign key, the value which is occupied by the column can have the duplicacy, and it is also possible. So this is also possible, can have the duplicacy. It is also possible because we are taking on the reference, we are not making that attribute as a primary, and that as a primary key, or we are not applying the primary key for the unique representation, but that foreign key or column which is having by the foreign key can have the duplicacy. This is the point you have to remember. And of course in the coming classes we will implement the primary key and foreign key, and then you will understand how it is happening. So here I am taking the example previous one. Customer ID was the my domain name or column name, and 123 my the domain name. So 123 is your unique. So customer name is Google and status active. So you can see 123, these are the value which are known as the domain of the customer ID. Another database, another table we have, that is the billing. First we have the customer and other we have the billing. So in this billing table, invoice number we have 123. So this invoice number is what? Invoice number will be the domain. Invoice number will be the domain of which attribute? That is the invoice number. So this invoice number will contain the primary key. So in amount we are getting the reference from the customer table. In billing table we are taking the reference from the customer table. So this is known as the customer ID. So this customer ID is again an attribute, and it contains the fk means foreign key. It can have the duplicacy, like you can say the customer ID, that is the customer name Google. Google has the invoice number 1 and its ID is 1 we are putting, and the amount is 100. And again we are generating another invoice for the same ID. So invoice number will be different, the customer ID will be as it is 1, and the amount of the Google customer will be the and different, like 200. It can have the same, but if we need to find the how much amount which is taken by the such customer, the Google, so we can say 100 plus 200, so that is 200. So by mathematically function, by applying the sum function, we can check this operation. And of course in the coming days we have the mathematical or aggregation function, and through the aggregation function on the query we will see and we will implement such thing. So here we have the primary key, and that is the invoice number, and here we have the customer ID. And at the time you can see this amount value and customer ID and in this customer ID in the billing table. It can also recognize as a candidate key. Why? Because it all the values which are representing the uniquely representation 100, 200 and 50, 150. But if you are repeating again another value, so at the time this is only which contain the unique representation. But at the time we have the different values 200, 300, 400, 500. So it's okay, but we are repeating such value, so it will not be a part of the key attribute at the time, or key constant. We are not having at the time such column will not have the key attribute. So this is a foreign key means we are taking the reference from the customer table. So customer table in the billing table having the reference of the customer ID from the customer table. So we will take the reference from here. So this is the example of the reference key. That's why it is name given over here, referential integrity constant. So how many types of the key we have in practical way? Super key, candidate key, and primary key and foreign key. But very truly speaking, if you want to really implement key, then you will have only two key. That is the foreign key and primary key, and nothing especially. So in our real life, we have only the two key, that is the primary key and foreign key, and with this all key, we will implement the database. So this is the point. Yes, tell me any doubt in this example?
No doubt, sir.
So in coming days, I will give some exercise, and you have to implement, and you have to find the which table contains the primary key and which table contains the foreign key. So in our ER diagram, you have to find the foreign key and primary key, and definitely in coming days I will tell you in ER diagram two table, that is known as the reducing ER diagram into the table, and that part known as the transformation of the ER diagram to table. And at the time you have to tell, you have to explain, you have to justify which key or which attribute belong to the key, and how to define the foreign key as well. So definitely we will see one by one, but let us understand the basic concept. It is most important part. Okay, so now it is clear to all about the keys concept. This part we have already discussed.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Clear, sir.
clear. So in the coming days, we will have some practical, and I will tell you with practical way, and I will give some exercise, and you have to work on such exercise and just give me the detail of the entire things, and how what is happening over there and how it is to be performed. So all those things are known as the concept. So we will see, no problem, with practical way. But right now, let us understand theoretical part, and it is no most important part for the coming classes or coming concept as well. Okay, so now no doubt over here.
No doubt, sir.
So can anyone tell me what is the definition of the key according to you? If I have the doubt, or if I am asking the question to you, then how you will justify, how you will
Sir, key means
say?
any value of attribute which uniquely identifies a tuple.
Yes, this is the point because in relational database, if you're putting the appropriate term like the tuple, okay, instead of the record, you are required to write the tuple. So tuple should be uniquely identified in
using a
uh,
key.
in a relation. Okay, so we can say this is known as the key concept. Okay, this is the most important part. Good.
Yes, sir.
Sir, couldn't like if we just use one like any like regular key, then couldn't that point to more than one tuple? Like suppose that age key, like
Okay.
if our query was just to find all the tuples with a certain range or certain age, then that would point to multiple tuples, right?
Yes, of course, we can have no problem. But there are drawback. If you're looking for the super key and candidate key, then what happen at the times? An attribute can have the multiple value in duplicacy manner. So at the time, it is not easy to detect the uniqueness into the record because we can have the multiple record of the same kind of information. So how you can identify that we have the different kind of the record? So to provide a uniqueness to entire tuple or record, it is necessary you should have the primary key. So primary key is nothing which is completely inspired by the candidate key and super key. But you are looking for the super key and candidate, okay, that's enough. What happened at the time? We will get the so how we can see? I will tell you. I will show you practical. No problem. In the coming days, Tuesday and Wednesday, we have a practical. I have planned all those things. Okay. First, I will do complete the relational algebra, and then I will tell you entire thing through the practical way. No problem. We have the practical. From my side, we will have the practical. Don't worry. I will tell you entire thing about the candidate key, super key, and primary key and foreign key. I will tell you through an example. Then you will be happy to say entire practical. No problem. Just now tell me.
Sir, we can move, sir.
Now tell me any doubt.
No doubt, sir, we can move forward.